They always said the Bermuda Triangle doesn't take people instantly. Sometimes it warns you first. That's what happened on the cargo ship SS Hesper, a vessel that made regular supply runs from Miami to San Juan. It was a seasoned crew, experienced men who'd crossed that route hundreds of times. But in August of 2003, something happened during one of their trips that is still buried under classified Coast Guard files. The first signs weren't dramatic, they were quiet. Small things that felt wrong but weren't dangerous enough to report. It started when the ship crossed an invisible line, coordinates the captain later marked as .0. The crew said that when they passed it, the temperature on the ship dropped, as if they'd suddenly entered an air-conditioned room. The sea was calm, no storms, no clouds, just a sudden coldness that didn't belong in the Caribbean. An engineer named Lewis Grant, a man who'd worked on engines his entire life, noticed something else. The engine gauges began flickering, not failing, not malfunctioning, just flickering, like something was messing with the ship's electrical field. He checked everything. Nothing was loose, nothing broken. Still, the lights continued fluttering. The captain radioed it in. The signal went through. Nothing unusual. The crew shrugged it off, kept moving. But then, at exactly 2:16 a.m., the ship's massive diesel engine suddenly revved on its own, spiking far above its normal RPM. The engineer had not touched a thing, and then the engine shut down completely, plunging the ship into dead silence. Every emergency light blinked red for a moment, then went completely dark. The ocean, the sky, the air, everything around them was silent. They weren't even drifting. They were still, as if the ocean itself was holding the ship in place. The captain ordered Lewis to head into the engine room and see what failed. Lewis went down the staircase, and halfway down, he stopped. He radioed up. "Captain, who's down here?" The captain responded, confused. "Nobody, it's just you." Lewis didn't answer for several seconds. When he finally spoke again, his voice was shaking. "I hear breathing. It's not human." The captain ordered 2 crewmen to go down with him, but they didn't make it far. The moment both of them stepped past the lower deck hatch, their radios started making a strange pulsing sound, like a heartbeat. Then all 3 radios cut to static. Only Lewis's remained active. He kept describing what he saw. "There's a shadow near the turbines, tall enough to touch the pipes. But no shape. It's like smoke, but standing." The captain yelled into the radio. No answer. Lewis kept whispering as though something were in the room with him. The last clear transmission from him was, "Don't come down here. It's behind me." Then, a metallic crash, a scream, and the line went dead. The captain, panicked, sent the emergency team down. They searched every inch of the engine room. There was no sign of Lewis, not his flashlight, not his tools, not even his radio. But the strangest part? The engine room was freezing cold, so cold that their breath fogged in the air, in 30-degree Caribbean heat. Even more disturbing, the metal floor where Lewis had been standing felt warm, as if something had been pressing its weight there seconds earlier. The ship stayed adrift for 2 full hours. Then, exactly as suddenly as it failed, the engine roared back to life, on its own, every system returning as if nothing had happened. The Coast Guard ordered them to continue to San Juan and file a report there. But here's where it becomes even more disturbing. When investigators searched the ship, the engine room camera footage of those hours was wiped, completely blank, just black, not corrupted, deleted. Someone or something had erased it perfectly. The Coast Guard called it an industrial accident. They blamed it on a pressure valve failure. But the crew insisted Lewis didn't disappear because of machinery. He disappeared because of something that stepped into that room with him. In the final report, which leaked years later, one investigator wrote a single chilling line. "Case resembles other missing person incidents in the Bermuda region. patterns consistent with unidentified phenomena. No body was ever found. No trace of Lewis ever surfaced. He simply vanished inside a ship that never stopped floating. And the coordinates he marked as point zero? Other ships have passed it since. Some report sudden cold. Some report radio distortions. One ship reported seeing figures in the fog, but none of them stop. None of them check. And none of them ever go into their engine room alone. Because the crew of the SS Hesper still believes whatever took Lewis, it's still down there, waiting. I didn't even realize the ocean had gone silent until my partner tapped my shoulder and pointed up. No waves, no current, no sound, like the water itself was holding its breath. We were 118 feet deep, surveying the remains of what we thought was a cargo wreck east of Andros Island. Clear water, good visibility, perfect conditions. But the deeper we went, the darker it got. Not normal ocean darkness. This was like descending into black smoke. I checked my dive computer again. Visibility, dropping. Temperature, dropping. Depth reading, fluctuating by 20-30 feet per second. That doesn't happen. Not on any dive. Not anywhere. Let's turn back, I signaled. My partner, Luis, flashed his light downward and shook his head. He'd found something. A structure. Not coral, not rock, not a ship hull. A perfectly straight metal beam sticking out of the seafloor like the rib of something massive buried under sand. It didn't match any wreck database in the region. It didn't match any ship design. It looked industrial, smooth, cold steel, no rust, no age. Luis placed a hand on it, and the moment he touched it, the ocean around us changed. Every particle of sand lifted from the seafloor as if gravity flipped sideways, not fast, slow, like grains floating in zero gravity. My heartbeat spiked. I could hear it loud against my regulator. Luis jerked his hand back and shook it. The metal burned him through his glove. Steam rose from his palm underwater. That's impossible. I aimed my light at the beam. Something was carved into it, tiny, repeating markings. Not letters, not numbers, symbols. Thousands of them, etched perfectly in patterns running down the steel like circuitry. Before we could even react, the beam hummed. Not loud, not mechanical, like a low vibration traveling through our bones. My mask shook. My chest tightened as if the water around us thickened. Then our dive computers reset. Every reading went blank, then rebooted. Depth, temp, location. We were flying blind. I looked at Luis. He pointed up. The surface was gone. Instead of sunlight filtering through blue water, the entire overhead had turned a smooth, spiraling gray, like a vortex of fog directly above us. We'd seen nothing on descent, no signs, no clouds, no weather shift. But now the triangle's sky itself looked like it was closing in. We started ascending immediately. Fast, too fast. But we didn't care. Panic overrides dive protocol instantly when you think the ocean itself is changing shape above you. At 60 feet, Luis grabbed my arm. He pointed behind us. Something large moved in the dark. Not a shark, not a fish. It had no defined shape, just a shifting mass, like a shadow that had detached from the seafloor. And it was following us. Luis kicked upward with full power. I followed. But our ascent slowed. Not from our speed, from something pulling the water itself downward. We were swimming into a current that didn't exist a minute ago. Then I saw it. The metal beam wasn't alone. More beams, dozens, began emerging as the sand lifted in swirling spirals. A grid, perfectly geometric, far too precise to be natural. A structure the size of a skyscraper was buried beneath us, and now it was waking up. The humming intensified. My regulator vibrated so hard it rattled against my teeth. The shadow below moved again, faster, swirling around the beams like it was drawn to them. And from that opening, something descended. Thin at first, like a tentacle of fog. But the closer it came, the more I realized. It wasn't fog. It wasn't solid. It wasn't fluid. It was somewhere else, like the shape of a place that didn't belong underwater. I felt pressure inside my skull, like something trying to read my thoughts by pushing against them. Luis's regulator floated from his mouth, slowly, like feather in a silent room. He stopped moving. His eyes were open wide, staring at the descending shape. I hit him, hard, again and again. Nothing. His eyes weren't looking at the thing above us. They were looking through it, like he saw something beyond me, beyond the ocean, beyond everything. My head pounded as if my mind was being peeled open. Then, whoom! The current snapped back into existence like someone flipped gravity. Water rushed upward violently, blasting us backward. Suddenly, my regulator worked. Air shot into my lungs so fast I coughed into the mouthpiece. Luis gasped too, alive, but disoriented. The vortex above vanished. The beams below sank back into the sand like they'd never existed. The shadow dissolved into nothingness. The ocean became normal, just like that. We shot to the surface without thinking, bursting through like we'd been launched. The sea was calm, blue, no storm, no clouds, no anomaly. But our boat, not where we left it. We spun in circles, 360 degrees of open ocean, no vessel. Luis yelled. I checked my dive computer. Time underwater, 21 minutes. That wasn't right. We had been down far longer. No way we experienced all that in 21 minutes. Then the radio crackled. Diver team? Come in! Where the hell are you? You've been missing 3 hours. 3 hours, not 21 minutes. We gave them coordinates. They said we weren't there. We weren't even close. We were 42 miles from the dive site, in a straight line, with currents that did not flow in that direction. When they found us, the boat captain refused to look at us for the first minute. He said we looked wrong. Our suits were warm, like heated metal. Our tanks were half full, even though our computers showed empty. Luis's mask had hairline cracks across the lenses, and this part still keeps me up at night. The GoPro strapped to Luis's chest recorded the entire dive, but every file was corrupted except one, the few seconds when the water froze. In that surviving frame, you can't see the beams, you can't see the shadow, you can't see the vortex, you only see us, floating in still water, and behind us, far in the dark, a massive smooth curve, not metal, not rock. Something like the side of a gigantic sphere buried in the ocean floor. And on that surface, just barely visible, is a single glowing symbol. One of the same ones we saw carved into the beam. Engineers later said the light source wasn't reflected, it was emitted. Like the symbol itself was alive. Luis refuses to dive again. He left the job, moved inland, says the ocean knows his face now. As for me, some nights I dream I'm floating inside still water again, unable to breathe, staring up at that spiraling gray opening. And in those dreams, something is still descending. Not towards us, but past us, as if we were never the target. As if the ocean was simply scanning us. Before reopening something it buried a very, very long time ago. He didn't even say his name when the radio came alive. Just a single breath, shaking, like he couldn't believe he was still alive. Tower, this is... I don't know what just happened. The transmission cut once, twice, then came through clear enough for the air traffic logs to catch every word. It was Flight 602, a small charter plane carrying 4 passengers from Miami to San Juan. Weather, clear. Winds, calm. Everything normal. Until it wasn't. The pilot's first officer later told investigators that the sky changed color 2 hours in. Not dark, not stormy, just wrong. A gray wall like a vertical sheet stretching from ocean to sky appeared ahead of them without radar detecting a single cell. It wasn't cloud. It wasn't fog. It wasn't anything they'd seen before. They tried turning left. The wall turned with them. They tried banking right. Same thing. It was like they were stuck inside a funnel that only existed for them. The radio logs captured it all. 2:13 p.m. Tower, this barrier, it's following us. 2:14 p.m. 6:02, say again. Static. 2:15 p.m. Something is moving inside it. Passengers later confirmed what the pilot saw first. Silhouettes shifting within the gray barrier, like shadows of things swimming through air. Slow, smooth motions, almost like giant shapes drifting underwater. The first officer insisted they climb. Full throttle. Straight up. But as they ascended, their altitude began dropping on the instruments, climbing in real life, descending on the screens. Vertical speed indicators spun wildly. The compass rotated like it was no longer locked to Earth's magnetic field. The GPS blinked numbers that didn't exist on any coordinate system. The plane shook once, violently, like something had slapped its belly from below. Passenger testimony. It felt like we'd hit turbulence inside an elevator shaft. Then everything stopped. The sound, the motion, even the engines dropped to a low, unnatural hum, like they weren't burning fuel but being held in place. The pilot looked outside. The gray wall wasn't a wall anymore. It had swallowed them whole. No horizon, no ocean, just endless swirling mist with faint lightning pulses deep inside. White, then green, then white again. No thunder, no echo, just light. That's when the radio captured the pilot whispering, "Something is circling the plane." A shape began orbiting them in the fog, never fully seen, never in focus. Too large to be another plane, too fluid to be mechanical. At one point it passed under the nose, and the co-pilot swore he saw an eye the size of a dinner plate sliding through the mist, unblinking, watching them. The passengers began praying. One woman sobbed uncontrollably. Another froze completely, staring at the window like she'd recognized something in the fog. And then, for exactly 47 seconds, all instruments went flatline. Not zero, not error, just blank. A void, as if the plane wasn't in the sky, or on the planet, or inside time. The black box recorded only a single high-pitched frequency during those 47 seconds, matching no known aircraft alarm, animal, or environmental source. Acoustic engineers analyzed it for months. The conclusion: not identifiable, not mechanical, not natural. Then the instruments all came back at once, violently, like someone plugged the plane back into the world, but the readings were impossible. They were 54 miles north of where they had been seconds earlier at 7,400 FT. Despite traveling 123 knots, though they had set 185, the pilot didn't care about the numbers. He stared ahead. The gray wall, the impossible funnel, the swirling lights, gone. Sky, blue, ocean, calm, horizon, normal, like nothing had happened. But the radio tower's next message froze him completely. "Flight 602, we lost you 47 minutes ago." Not seconds, minutes. They were gone long enough that search operations had been initiated. Emergency locator was broadcasting from 2 different coordinates, and another aircraft reported seeing a flicker of light in the clouds that looked like an aircraft disintegrating. When Flight 602 finally landed in San Juan, ground crews found something terrifying. The exterior of the plane was warm, not sun-warm, burn-warm. Like it had been exposed to extreme heat or friction recently. But here's the part investigators never included in the public records. The passengers aged differently. One man's digital watch had jumped ahead 11 hours. A woman's phone time was 1 hour behind. The co-pilot's analog wristwatch still showed the moment the instruments went blank. Frozen at the exact second he said the eye passed beneath the nose, and then there was the passenger photo. Seat 3A. A tourist with a Canon DSLR. She had taken 19 rapid shots during the gray wall encounter. 18 were corrupted, but one, the middle frame, remained intact. Investigators described it but never released it. The image, the plane window. Nothing unusual at first glance, just mist, but zooming in reveals A smooth, curved surface. Not cloud, not fog. Something solid, something enormous. Something with a texture like dense skin, stretching across the window frame. And near the bottom corner, barely visible, a reflection. The reflection of a pupil, looking directly into the cabin. When the tourist in 3A was interviewed, she said something that chilled the investigators so much they stopped the recording. She said, "That moment, when it looked in, I felt something push inside my head. Not a voice, just a message." They asked what message. She replied, "It wasn't meant for us. It was checking, like we weren't the thing it was looking for." When the investigators asked what she meant, she whispered, "It left us, because it realized we weren't the right ones." She refused to speak after that. Weeks later, the first officer left the aviation industry entirely. The pilot moved inland and never flew again. 2 of the passengers reported recurring dreams of being inside a silent fog with a shape moving around them. One dream included a detail investigators found unsettling. There were more planes inside the fog, but they weren't moving. Experts tried to debunk it as stress trauma, but the 47-second black box frequency appears again in 2 other Bermuda Triangle incidents, one in 1997, another in 2008. Same frequency, same pattern, same sudden aircraft displacement. A pattern no one admits officially exists. The final FO note in the report reads, "We were not flying through a storm, we were flying through something alive." And the pilot's last interview ends with a line that still scares researchers who heard the tape. "When we came out of that fog, I knew it let us go, but I also knew it didn't pull us in by mistake."